heading back to Shepherd's Rest. We had been in Stanton for a while. We tried yesterday for one quick session the siege contracts once more, because we thought we figured out how it works, and we had been, imagine that, we had been successfully in the Wolf, we had been successfully in the M50, and we also had been successfully in the Asgard as well as the Paladin. And we retried last night again with the Paladin, and it happened that we selected the two wrong contracts and so we didn't made it the same way we did the previous ones. And so we locked off pretty fast because we are still not keen on this ship combat stuff. We know that Star Citizen is basically a virtual spaceship combat simulator, whatnot, but it's just not our thing. Luckily, there are a lot of stuff you can do beside ship combat, and that is what we do. We move in boxes all the time. So when we have a check on, we are now here in Pyro, and we can do this siege here as well, and it will be also an F7A Hornet in an asteroid belt, and it should be here in Pyro, so it doesn't really matter where you are, you can do it in both sides. We haven't tested it, we haven't tried it, we're not really keen on, but what you can see is here we have 10 mil less than we should have. Actually it should be something like 95 mil, and the only thing that we know is we crash landed the Asgard with a fully loaded with food. But that fruit cannot make 15 mil. So we are not on the hunt, but we try to figure out where the 10 mil is. It might be that we actually lost 10 mil, 15 mil through crashes, or it might be that we bought some stuff and haven't delivered and or sold yet. And that's why we are going back to Shepherd's Rest, because where the money will be in form of boxes. That's why we are here. Trying.
Docking initiated. Docking denied.
Another thing that we had thought of a lot lately is the engineering gameplay that will come up in 4.4, and that 4.4 is to be expected at the end of this month, either at the start of IAE or at the very end of IAE. Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, and we had been looking for pledging, and the current state Star Citizen is in, we actually think about should we even do pledge anything, because what will be the pledge? It will be the Ironclad Assault, and that is something like 550 or something, which is quite a lot for a virtual spaceship. I mean, each virtual spaceship that is beyond $100 is expensive, but we have our joy with transporting goods from A to B and making money. That is somewhat we could call a solid income when it comes to making money here in the verse, and we do not play much for the money to increase much money. But right now we are way more in maintaining, or at least try maintaining, the 100 mil mark. That is our goal right now, because we want to expand. We are looking for people. Oh, look at that. Look at that beauty. Nice. New loot here in Pyro available. Yeah, because we want to have a reliable income, not to make big money, but when it comes to recruiting in our trading operation, we want to have people in our crew who wants to move boxes and making money, and we want to help them making 100 mil as well, and that's why we need to maintain, because we need to make sure that we have enough fundings to help people out. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, we want to help new crew members out to make their own 100 mil in order to participate, because as soon as we have the ironclad, we want to scale the business. We want to have people in our crew, they do not care about money. But yet, even though they don't care about money, they need to thrive for money. And we help them. Look at that. Here we have, can we? Golden Medmon. Yeah, we have some boxes laying around. That explains why we have 92. Golden Medmon, sunset berries we have here laying around, but first we need to bring that backpack out of the loot box. Yeah, most of the people cannot even carry this backpack because it's a heavy backpack and we cannot attach it to our body, to our arm, so that we need to carry it. ASUS exploration suit backpack. Nice. Yeah, we want to have crew members who don't care about money but yet striving for money. And that is something, a lesson we haven't learned as a little boy. As our parents said, you have to save up money. Save for later. Save for when you're getting old. And we had no clue what they actually talked about, because imagine you are younger than 10 years old and your parents tell you you need to save up money for when you're getting old. I mean, we do not get old, we are less than 10 years, right? At that age, you do not think about getting old at all. It is basically the same knife we also have for the pledge that came out previous month. I think it was in the subscriber store or in the Citizen Con pack. Yes. Just a different variant, different color. Nice. Yeah, saving up money for later. But now, with almost 40 years, we understand and comprehend what that means, save up for later, and that is what we do. With that 100 mil or almost 100 mil on our bank account, we open up options, and that is all about Pitambu. Yeah, Dagnus Root. We have the wrong boxes here. Pitambu goes to Seraphim. Dagnus Root goes to somewhere else. And Sunset Berries, and luckily someone already had some. We can buy more Golden Medmon. Yeah, why not? So what do we have in total? 140 SUs. That should fit easily into the Asgard. Yeah. For options. You save up for options. You learn French for options. You learn mathematics to unlock options. If you talk about that in video game lingo, you work towards unlocking features in order to be able to continue thriving inside the game. And that is what we have here. With almost 100 mil, we could buy 3 times the M2. Doesn't make sense? No, it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't really matter if it makes sense or not. We have the options. We had the options from that very moment. CIG took it away. We could have rebought, but we didn't. And the reason why we didn't is we already did that with the Taurus back then when we had struggled with making money in the Third Reich. Back then it was way more difficult, at least for us, to make money, any sustainable money. And they took away the Taurus. Two times. Taurus costs 8 mil. And it took us a while to make even 10 mil to buy it at the first place. And then they took it away right at the moment we had another 10 mil in our bank account. And they took it away, so we needed to rebuy, and we had only 2 mil. Why are we pointing that out? It takes some effort to make that money. Even though we know now how to make money, we can make sustainable money, but just to make 10 mil, it is a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of time. And we are absolutely not willing to spend our time, our attention into Star Citizen when CIG is the power that takes away all the energy we put into Star Citizen. Yeah, you get that point? We invest time into this game, not necessarily testing, but we spend time into this game and do not live on Earth. Meanwhile, what does that mean? We play so-called video games instead of having a life. And when we put the energy into Star Citizen, we do not put energy into life. And a lot of people wants that we do not put energy into life. And when we spend our time into a game like Star Citizen, they take it away. We do not spend, and now again, the same energy into the game just to rebuy the very same ship they took away. And of course, in pure economic sense, their plan works with us. Yeah, take them the ships away and they maybe pledge for it. And did we pledge for the M2? Nope. Did we pledge for the Taurus? Nope. But we are up to pledging the Assault. Ironclad Assault. That is a new ship. It's not out yet. And to spend 550 for a brand new ship that gives us joy, that gives us gameplay, that gives us opportunities inside the verse, it is much more likely that we would spend that money for that ship. The other way around is we could have, or we still could, pledge for the M2, but the M2 is more or less in the same price range like the Ironclad, and we ask ourselves, why should $10 less than the Ironclad for an old ship? Even though they got a rework, but why should we pledge for an old ship like an M2 or any Star Lifter for that matter? We don't. We do not. But yet, the state the game is in, we are even thinking about it. Should we even pledge for the Ironclad? Because we already know we would have a gameplay, we would have joy moving more boxes than we did now. And when we have the Ironclad Assault, we are not relying. We do not need to rely on other players with M2 or C2. But that would be even the thing that we are looking for when it comes to building a crew. Yeah, I think Golden Medmons goes to Seraphim and Pit and Boo goes to Seraphim. Yeah. And when we do not place when we do not practice with working together with other players, how should we be able to play together with other players once we have the ironclad assault? And yet, the other way around, Nomadic has an ironclad, or at least pledged for it, the transport edition, that would give us even more cargo capacity. But the other thing is, when they release the engineering, then we have completely different problems. See, we do not have a tractor beam anymore. We lost it. That is really, really interesting. Where did we lost it? We dragged and dropped it here into storage access and we lost it. Damn it. Luckily we have enough money to rebuy. Yeah, and that is something that we probably gonna try next patch. Can we buy 1,000 SEUs and bring it up to arbitrary? And once we have 1,000, are we able to bring that boxes over to Stanley? And when we do, with whom did we do it, and with what ship did we do it? Because we know when Goose shows up, we will have a cargo capacity of, let's say, 700. 522. Last time we worked that out, fully gridded. But that is only 500. We would need to fly 2 times. Or we could ask V. He has a C2. Or we could ask both. And together we will have SCUs and 2 ships, 2 deliveries. And for us, maybe we are just control freaks. We want to have control, and every time when we use other people's ships, we do not have actual control, because we cannot order them to help us. They need to be online, want to be willing to help us bringing the boxes, and unloading in order to make the money. And of course, we all pay them in some way, form or another. Is that a thing, especially with the engineer? But especially when it comes to engineering, be prepared that we now never happened, but that change fast. If you get pirated, I mean now, we basically almost lost every time because we are not doing the right stuff, especially not afraid of how should you combat against one or two gladiuses or F7s or whatever. It's absolutely not possible. The only one thing that you can do is either outrun them with heavy shields, point to a quantum jump, and then jump out. Yeah, but there is a slight chance that they will damage our ship drastically. And with the engineering coming up, that will change a bit. And for us, who are the victims basically on any pirates attack, our die just slows down with the implementation to the end. Still Golden Madman and Pitambu. Seraphim Station. But if, yeah, and we will need to figure out how that actually works once it's out. How does that even work out? That do we need to have someone who hops out of the pilot seat and repair components? Or are we a crew of 2 or even more, and the pilot can continue piloting towards our destination while the others repair the stuff? Or if we would be 3, we may be even able to fight back, flight forwards and repair. And why not practicing? Yeah, why not practicing? If we would consider to join our crew at the beginning, we would do the fun and we would do the What happened with the fucking boxes? Why don't they just work properly? Something changed. I mean, tracked beaming in general works as if something is blocking the boxes. We need to go to obituary anyways because we are on 11%. We need to refuel in order to make it back.
Engines online.
Is there something moving?
Takeoff complete. Shields offline. Landing gear raised.
interesting stuff is going on. And we even would say some, hey, where's the marker? And even some, let's say, career change.
Online.
Is going on. That we are somewhat really looking forward to.
All systems offline.
Do you know the feeling when you have way too many thoughts? Because too many thoughts. That is actually the feeling that we have right
Welcome to the ASUS vehicle retrieval system.
now.
Your
Process
enhanced
what
vehicle
happened today. We're struggling, but find out what will be the consequences of today and how these consequences affect us, our career plan, if you will. And we do not really mind that we have a CV, a bad CV. We have the question is, are we even looking for a new job? Where is water? Water.
Hi.
Alright, that should be enough for traveling back. And we'll get the fuck out of my way. We will set our respawn point here because we have more locations to check. But now we know we have some boxes here. Now we know the fresh food is definitely the thing that we
Medicine
focus.
isn't only about healing. It's about being your best.
And with that load, we definitely do not make enough money to be back at 92 mil. Definitely not. And we are now November 6th or something, 5th. So there is still a complete month to do our usual trading stuff. But to be honest enough,
What do you see?
be that busy in this gives us a little break, gives us also the opportunity to do something else. Dogfighting, for example, the siege contracts. Not that we are actually keen on, but it just gives us an opportunity. And that's good. We also had been to these distro facilities in order to find Valentino. Of course, had no luck at all. But we don't really care much, to be honest, because the only one thing that would give us is the opportunity to turn it into Wicklow, but Wicklow wants to do more. And we really giving it through to do some org stuff, classical org stuff, doing activities where we can do this sort of Michelor missions, let's put it that way. Because up until now we haven't done anything. We did once,
Is at 100%. Takeoff complete.
actually. Once was just random.
Shields
That
offline.
was maybe just like an not an example, but like where we found per accident people who wanted to do that stuff, and we really could coexist together in order to do a line in mind. And none of them had been minors in general. So maybe that was the thing.
Drive is now on.
Yeah. So what is the trade? What is the trade? Why we called it the trade in this stream? The trade is, do we spend more money into this project to trade off some joy? Or do we trade off money against hassle because of engine? Yeah, and there's a lot of speculations out there, and we call again this guy called Nova Citizens. Maybe it's an AI voice, no idea, but the thought process is interesting. And we would even say he's basically a shiller because he always sees the glass is half full. It's not half empty. He always sees half full, which is a quality, at least for him. But we are way more the realist. We would say we are the realist. Haven't we seen this Polaris once again? We had seen this one. It's not our first time.
Shields offline.
This particular Polaris parked right here. It might be that we unload manually so that we can leave out just five decks, some sunset berries, but way more boxes, golden medmons, and some pit and boo.
Quantum fuel is at 25%. Quantum drive is now off.
We are coming from below, and these flying rocks behind the station almost looks dangerous.
Landing pad assigned.
Shields online. Docking initiated.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
All systems offline.
Alright, and Dagnus Root and Sunset Berries. Sunset Berries are easily identifiable. this should be the last box. And all the others. All the others go So let's see if we make it back to 90 mil at least. We don't think so because too many fresh food boxes been lost. And when we say a fully loaded Asgard, then it is something around 240 SUs. And 240 SUs multiplied 16. That is 3.2 million that we've lost. Looks good. All Sunset Berries medium. Yeah, we could have delivered 50, but we only had 26. But at least it was out of stock, and most of the time it's for a long time. It means we had the best price for these 26 boxes, 26 SEUs. Now we have a check on the deckless routes. Someone is doing construction material. Deckless route out of stock. So, yeah, 83 mil. Seraphim Station. Shouldn't have spent 4K for fuel.
Engine aerospace. All systems online. Landing gear raised.
It's just red, but no visible damage. 300. It looks like as if we could have made it to Crusader with 300.
Quantum drive is now on. Quantum drive is now off.
Faster than the cigarette lasted.
Quantum drive is now on. Quantum drive is now off. Quantum drive is now on.
nearly 500k damage. 500, it's not that much actually. So even if we missed some Darkness root here, it wouldn't be that big of a deal because we also can sell Darkness root here at Seraphim. That is a good thing about this route. Even if you miss the box, doesn't matter, you can sell it later on. And when we fill up the ironclad, we would even wait, log off and continue the day after. Because the hassle had been before to buy the boxes, bring it up to arbitrary, and the second step, load the ironclad, and then it's just click on sell. Don't forget to
Welcome
store the
to the
ship
ASOC vehicle. Your
from
vehicle,
the
please
ASOC
visit us
tool.
again.
Make sure there is no marker visible anymore, and then you're good to go.